You ever had your parents or somebody else tell you that it's not just what you do that matters, but how you do it? That it's not just accomplishing a task or a goal, but it's the manner in which you accomplish that task or a goal. Maybe a coach who's told you that it's not just about winning, but it's about how you play. Maybe it's something like this situation here, and you can kind of see a contrast between two ways of doing the same thing.
Hey Ross, can you come do the dishes?
Oh, Mom. Come on. It's the worst. I was playing with video games. Hate doing the dishes. So dumb. Hate dishes. Alright, here you go, Mom. They're done.
Hey Ross, can you come do the dishes?
Okay, Mom. You're right there. Alright. Got it. Taken care of. Love doing the dishes. It's my favorite chore ever. Oh, thanks, Mom. There's not even that many dishes to do here. You must have done some. You're awesome. Da-da-da-da-da. We're out. Alright, Mom. I'll finish these in 1 second. I just gotta go use the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Socrates, could you please come do the dishes?
Of course. Work is what man was made for. And it is when working that man is at his happiest. So I am at my happiest now. Wonderful. An unexamined life is not worth living. This was one of the maxims or sayings of Socrates, that somebody who lived their life without examining it and discovering where they were wrong and where they were in the truth or in the right was a life not worth living, that the pursuit of truth had to be the most important thing. And part of this came from what the oracle at Delphi had inscribed above its the temple, which was "Know thyself." And Socrates took that in a very serious way, that knowing yourself was one of the most important things that you could do in life. And Socrates, this great thinker of ancient Greece, has continued to be one of the most important thinkers of all time. We still look back to him as a huge thinker and questioner and challenger who really got the ball of philosophy rolling. Even though there were philosophers who predated him, he had a major influence on the birth of philosophy. And philosophy is the love of wisdom. We'll talk about this a little bit more in the next chapter. It's the love of wisdom, of right living. And Socrates pursued that passionately, even to his death and to his own detriment. In his early life, his father was a stone cutter, but poor. But we think that he probably gave Socrates a good education, because Socrates frequently quoted from Homer. He was well versed in the verses of Homer and knew them well. And there's some interesting, he grew up in a very exciting time in Greece. He was born 10 years after the Battle of Plataea, right after the Greco-Persian War, and as the golden age of Pericles was on the rise. So this age where so many things were, so much wealth was pouring into Athens. Athens had these great ideals of helping the Ionian city-states. They were building beautiful buildings. They were creating amazing sculptures and art. Their thinkers were flourishing. And Socrates was born in this very exciting time where all these things were happening. And he was the classic Greek, both a thinker and a physical person. He fought during the Peloponnesian War. That was where he came to love Alcibiades, because they fought side by side in that war. And there are some cool, kind of interesting stories about him during that war that I'm going to kind of show you here now about what kind of person Socrates was. So take a look at this.
Socrates, aren't you freezing? You don't have any shoes on.
No.
Reginald, what's Socrates doing?
I think he's thinking.
How long has he been there?
Since this morning.
Weird. Reginald, what are you doing this time?
I'm gonna see if he stays like this all night. I don't know what he's doing.
Also weird.
Socrates, did you figure it out?
Yes. So as you can see, Socrates was able to endure some pretty incredible things, kind of mind over matter in his facing the cold. His ability to just like stand somewhere and think all day long is crazy to me. Just how active his mind must have been to pursue these questions and these thoughts. One time he refused to obey orders because he believed it would lead him to do the wrong thing, and so he always valued that sort of truth above everything else. I need to do what's right, what's morally right, above obeying somebody who's maybe over me if I think it's going to lead me to something wrong. He also devoted himself to a life of poverty. He was really true to his ideals. He was a person who valued the things of the spirit over the things of the flesh, and so he didn't care. And like the classic Greek idea of mind is more important than body, he really lived that out. He had only one old cloak, which his friends used to kind of make fun of him about, that he only had this one piece of clothing, lived very simply. He had very basic necessities. There's this interesting little story in the book about how he married Xanthippe, a woman who had this violent temper, and would get really mad at him, sort of like the exact opposite of Socrates, this very thoughtful, kind of calm person. And his saying that if he could manage to live with Xanthippe, he could manage to live with anyone, sort of putting his ability to love people to the test in his own home first. So really applied the things that he taught. Wasn't just telling people to do things that he wasn't willing to do himself.